I'm live here from London at this beautiful facility, which I'm sure Joe will, go deep into the history of it. Berry Brothers and Rudd.
Hello, my name is Joe Whittaker. I am the Global Brand Ambassador for Berry Brothers and Rudd in St James's, London, heart of London, next to St James's Palace. We have been here as a company for 325 years, starting off as a coffee merchants for the first 100 years, selling coffee and tea, spices to the coffee houses and restaurants of St James's that adorn every street that you walk past. Then in 1800s we changed. We became a wine and spirit merchants, bottling some of the best French wines, cognac, Scotch whiskies in the 1800s from our very cellars, and then evolving when the industry evolved into being an independent bottler from not only Scotch whisky but from around the world.
Hey guys, this is Sid Patel, CEO of London Wine Competition, London Beer Competition, and London Spirits Competition and Beverage Trade Network. I'm live here from London at this beautiful facility, which I'm sure Joe will, go deep into the history of it. Berry Brothers and Rudd, right? Yep. That's the finest merchant, I think oldest merchant of UK. And the whole idea behind having a chat with him is on a role of a brand ambassador, right? When you have your own spirit, especially a whiskey, and in this case we'll go a little deeper into the whiskey world. What does that role look like? What are the different things, especially contextually, that you can do to build relationships with trade and consumers? So Joe, thanks for having us here.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for coming.
Great. Why don't you give us a little one-on-one intro for our global audience, about the business and about yourself, please.
So let's start with the business. We are sat in the spirits room of Berry Brothers and Rudd. Berry Brothers and Rudd are, as you said, one of the oldest. We are the oldest wine and spirit merchants in the UK, and probably one of the oldest in the world. We opened our door here in 1698.
Wow.
As a coffee merchants on the streets of St James's, the corner of St James's and Pall Mall in the heart of London. And we have been in the same building for that entire time. We are a family-run business, have been run by the same family for that 325 years.
Wow.
Now two families, with the Rudds joining a short time ago, only 100 years ago. And we have, for the last 100 or so years, we have been a wine and spirit merchants. So just to kind of give that some context, we do not have a distillery, we do not have vines or vineyards. We are a merchants. So we bottle and we sell other producers' products, and that is where we really lie as an expertise. As an independent bottler of spirits, working with distilleries from Scotland, Ireland, and all over the world for whiskies, rums, cognacs, we have got the great opportunity to show other people's work, tell other people's stories, and really sort of give our customers and hopefully new customers sort of great, unique experiences. So that's what we do as a business.
Fantastic.
My role is I am Global Brand Ambassador, which means basically it's my job to go and bring this wonderful old building. We are sat in a 325-year-old building. Bring this to life. Bring sort of the world of St James's to all over the global, and to sort of bring people into our spirits. As I said, we are not a distiller. We do not have a signature bottle that we have. Our entry core range still sort of spans over 4 different categories in our whiskies. We also have our rums, our gins under that label.
And these are all under which brand?
Under the By Beverage Trade Spirit brand.
Got it.
So we are now down in our old cellars. So this is one of our oldest parts of our building, and we are stood in front of our family reserve, a 325-year-old wine and spirit merchants run by the same family. Of course, you better have a good wine cellar. And these are some of our more impressive bottles. Down here you will see some 1870s, 1880s Burgundies and Bordeaux. Some of our sort of champagnes, vintage champagnes up here. As well as on the back left there, some King's beer, our attempt at selling beer that failed very quickly in the about 1930s, but we keep it there as a bit of a memory. We've got a couple of our historic bottles here I think these are from about this one here dates back to about 1950.
Wow, so hang on a second. Private label contract bottling has been this old?
Yep. So we've been doing this for about 2 centuries.
Wow.
We think. Some of these, so this bottle in front of us here dates back to about 1930, I think. So some old good bottlings around. We do have our more modern bottles, but I wanted to show off.
Yeah, looks great.
Yeah. So my job is to sort of bring these sort of our world to life, but also bring the world of different distillers, different manufacturers, different flavors, different styles to people. Let people explore, share the stories and the sort of the fun side of this industry from not only Scotland but from around the world.
Amazing. Let's go on the business side of it, right? Like so, you have telling stories, and I'm sure there is a KPI to your role where you have to meet some metrics, you have to hit some numbers. What are your job expectations?
So my job expectations is to sort of grow the brand. So I need to do a certain amount of whiskey shows around the world. So I have, in the last 12 months, I have done shows in Germany, Paris, Taiwan, China.
And the goal is to get distributors and importers and retailers stock your product?
So we already have distributors in these markets. So my job is to help
create awareness.
Help the commercial teams out there drive awareness, do trainings, basically explain new releases. The best and the worst part about my job, but definitely leaning towards the best, is that as an independent bottler of single casks, every lineup we do changes. Every distillery sort of lineup, every style changes all the time.
So every new release is as good as new education to the whole trade, to the whole supply chain. Yeah.
So that's why it's the best and worst. Because for me, I love digging into these distilleries. I love looking at new distilleries. That's why I loved doing the London Spirits competition, trying new flavors, new concepts, new ideas, and then bringing those to sort of the markets, training people, bring people on board, and sort of help support those, as well as kind of continue building my brand.
How does your week look like? I mean, how much is training? How much is you yourself doing some new biz dev, and what does that look like? And how much is you spending time on the end consumer attention to drive some depletions from your current accounts?
So I would say it's probably... if we sort of take a average 5-day week, I'm sure you hear this with every brand ambassador, no week is the same. But I will probably do 2 or 3 trainings a week with either internal teams or external partners, distributors, importers, or retail. And then as part of that, I will probably do 3 or 4 more consumer events, if that is doing sort of your classic whiskey shows, the whiskey lives, the whiskey shows, the whiskey lounges of this world.
And over there you would try to get a master class program or some slot or some activity bundling with the trade show. Understood.
That, and then sort of the last of that is, working on building the brands. I'm very active on social media. I do a lot of sort of, working with press influencers, kind of getting them to sort of, understand the brand and bring that to life. So that's looking for new business, but also sort of, giving weight, because our bottles have been around for so long that I think sometimes our messaging has got lost. So it's my job as the first global brand ambassador to bring people up to life. So this is our Napoleon cellar, our deepest of cellars, named after Napoleon III, the former emperor of France, who before he became emperor was exiled in England, had meetings down here. In the back of this cellar, where he would plot his return to rule France and save France from the tyranny that he believed it was under. This cellar is also these days more famous for the film The Kingsman 2, where the two main characters come down to this cellar and find the bottle of bourbon in our walls. So a lovely historic place, now a dining room for 70 people.
So I want to ask a question about what kind of skill sets you would look if you were to hire a brand ambassador, right? If you were a distillery, you're going out to find a brand ambassador, and we're talking about small and medium size, right? So not heavy in budgets. Let's say we're not talking about Bacardis of the world, but someone like a nice small craft distillery, first position that they can afford now. Next is this brand ambassador role. What would you look for, what kind of expectations you would lay out on the table for the person, and how would that interview look like? What 3 or 4 questions you can throw in which are some different that you would evaluate on?
Yeah. So what I would look for a new brand ambassador is, the first thing you have to look for is someone with passion. A brand ambassador's job is to go and live the brand they represent. So they need to have passion, they need to have enthusiasm for the category. If you are a whiskey or gin brand, they have to love and be able to talk about why they like that category. You also need someone who can hold a room.
True.
There is
a personality is needed.
Yeah, a personality is needed. You can easily fall into sort of, talking about a brand and sound like a microphone just for the
little bit of
marketing
entertainer
time. Yeah,
is needed. Yeah,
because ignoring all sort of the noise of flavour and categories and all this, alcohol is a fun
you need
project.
to make it fun.
It's fun. It's social.
Understood.
What would we do? I mean, if we were allowed to open these bottles, would we sit there and talk about the prominence of? We would want to try. We want to talk. We want to share.
True.
And that's what you need. You need someone that can bring that to the table.
Great. Yeah. Personality, passion. Yeah.
If they don't have knowledge of that sort of category, if you're a whiskey producer and you've got someone who knows all about Scotch, but they don't know about Irish whiskey. Knowledge like that can be learned as long as they have the passion, the intrigue to sort of bring that to the table. And also someone who knows the industry. I am an expert.
Connections, you mean?
Connections. Well, sort of connections, but also people that have worked in this industry. I did 14 years as a bar manager, from 18 to 32, as a bar manager, working in the on-trade, loving that life, learning my trade. So it meant that when it was time for me to step away from that world and move into a different one, where I came to work in sales and then as a brand ambassador, is sort of I understand the world I'm walking into. I'm not saying that you need to be the best mixologist. You don't need to have the best knowledge of spirits. You just need to understand. Because, once again, these are things to be shared. There are so many brands out there that someone that knows what they're walking into.
And let's say, what are the 3 or 4 questions you would ask, which are, to get this characteristics out? Like, okay, how are you going to ask, are you passionate?
Yeah, I would ask them to name the best 3 spirits of that category. Say if you were coming in to talk about a spirit, whiskey brand ambassador role me. What are those last 3?
Why don't we do a little mock interview?
Yeah.
So let's say I'm here. Thanks. I'm here for an interview of this brand for a brand ambassador, Joe. And then you can ask me questions.
Yeah. So this year. So we are now end of March. How is end of March? I have no idea. End of March. But what are the 3 best whiskies that you have tried? Can you tell me a bit about them, and can you tell me what you liked about them?
Okay, so I tried this and I love this about it. And then you're going to see the energy, I believe, right there? Yeah. All right, then what other question?
Then you want to talk about, so, what is your experience? Where have you come from in the industry?
Good one. Because that you will see that how much of from his own time and money the person is trying to build and go out like on a weekend. What maybe I like going to a distillery tour.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you know what, at 19 years old, I would have loved to become a brand ambassador. Yeah. But was I ready to be a brand ambassador? Maybe for a sort of a type of brand ambassador, but I didn't.
True.
Then put me into a meeting with sort of where I'm training some bartenders. And I've worked in one bar. I can't really help them sort of bring that to world or help with them. So that's what you're trying to do with that.
What about sales skills, right? Maybe it's my perception, but I think that end of the day you are on this side now, which means you're not the buyer, bartender, but you're going to sell, and you'll have to have some sort of liking to do that cold call or something. How do you evaluate that? Like, do you think it's a needed skill?
I think it doesn't hurt to have it. It is a good thing, but also brand ambassadors are here to work alongside commercial teams.
Okay.
I mean,
So you're not expected to do biz dev.
No,
understood.
No, but that's the size. Well, we are a small to medium-sized company if you compare us to sort of the big ones that you've mentioned. A smaller company, the brand ambassador may actually have to do sales.
True.
May have to go and find that new business. So having that sort of understanding, even if it's there just support, I think is a good thing. But also, having worked in sales, especially a mixture of if you're going into something like whiskey, which is so predominantly mixed between on trade and off trade. If you're looking at gin, you could work with a gin brand that has no retail presence at all. They are all into going into your martinis, your cocktails, your gin and tonics. But sort of with the whiskey, it's good to have that. It's good to have that understanding of where people are coming from. You know what to talk about, how to talk about. And it's just all building that knowledge. But that is also one thing that I think is good to have, but especially if we're using this scenario as a smaller company. It's these things can be learned.
Yeah.
For me, the main things are having a personality that you can show across. You can have that passion and have that want to learn, because everything else can be taught.
Great.
My role here as part of this historic company is to guide people through our history, to sort of bring to life our passion for wine and spirits, bringing sort of the spirits and these time capsules of other people's products that we have aged ourselves, we have chosen and we have bottled to life, and hopefully keep building this brand. It's a real honour to work for a company, a family-run company, for this length of time. These walls, if they could speak, could tell 1,000 stories. And the family that run them, the Berries and the Rudds, the two families that are our custodians, to be the mouthpiece of these families is a great honour, and something that I can't stop pinching myself that I get to do on a daily basis.
If you can share us like 3 or 4 things that you personally do in your education programs, like let's say how do you do in a trade show, 3 or 4 examples, or maybe Zoom calls, like just ideas.
Yeah. So the main things I look at, so firstly, you need to be able to get your message of your brand across. For me, it's all about bringing the stories. I am lucky enough to work for a company that has 325 years of stories. It's trying to get onto the actual products, which is the shortfall for me. But you need to be able to have a simple message that brings what your brand is about. Then you need to be able to sort of explain what your bottlings are. As an independent bottler, it changes, but we always have one philosophy. We talk about exploration of spirits. We talk about sharing with friends, but we also always talk about the one question, or one philosophy: is it good enough to drink? That's all we ask ourselves, and it needs to be able to kind of get that message across. Then the final thing is about bringing the flavours to life. There's a lot of people out there who like whiskey but haven't got the palate, haven't got the experience of trying, that can sort of talk about what they're trying and sort of guided through. So it's not reading the sort of the tasting notes on the back of the bottle. It is actually sort of layering up what you're trying as an experienced person, so people can see that, guiding people through people go to whiskey shows, go to tastings, go to events to be entertained, but also to learn a little bit. And it's trying to kind of get that sort of that entertainment, but also that learning, so people walk away going, yeah, I got something from that. Because if not, we're all just going to be sat there drinking one type of whiskey because it tastes like whiskey.
Now, let's say if you were to go to Bar Convent Berlin and imbibe London later on, what would you do there?
So what I would do is, sort of depending on the on the person talking in front of me. You know, there is a lot in sort of, if you go to Berlin, BCB, there is a lot of bartenders there. So then we talk about the products that are led more towards the on-trade. We look at our core range, our classic range, which are designed to be drunk on their own, but also can be used for cocktails. Show people how these products can be sort of played with and sort of, you know, brought into sort of the modern era. And actually sort of it's almost giving bartenders permission to work with your products, to sort of remove a stigma of, oh, it's a single malt, we can't use that for anything else, and actually bring it to life. But then you come to imbibe, and imbibe's a bit different, because you do get like the whiskey bar people there, people that are looking for bottles to be served by the dram, to be neat, to be included in flights. So then you sort of bring, you explain the sort of varieties and what you can bring as an independent bottler. And then
You're super.
the last thing I would say for any sort of, you know, any brand ambassador out there is that, or any sort of wanting to be brand ambassador, is that I wouldn't have got where I am without the people that came before me. So have that opportunity, go to tastings, go learn from sort of the experienced people. This industry is so open, so friendly and so welcoming that if you have that drive, go out, do the legwork, meet the people, learn, take notes, and keep going, because it's an amazing industry to work in, no matter what guise you work in. So
great.
Yeah.
I think I'll add one small note here. I think happiness and happy influencers are so needed, and you've always, you know, gracefully welcomed with a smile. And I think that goes a long thing in our industry, where I've noticed relationships, and being nice to people, you know. And I think that sort of is something which I'm sure, you know, is a skill set that you would look for in building as well.